Hi everybody, we are back. It's Chris and Cassie with SONday Chronicles. This is episode 13, our favorite number. So we've been
Season 2.
Yeah, basically season 2. We've been gone for a while, and I'm not even going on the camera tonight because I'm just not feeling too good. And for those who experienced and all the stuff that's been happening.
Say that one more time. It just went out and came back on. We're tired.
Yeah, we've been kind of staying away just because of, for those of you who understand the energy shifts and the energies and all that stuff going on, it's been a real ass kicker this past couple weeks. So we're hanging in there, but we're tired and trying to not fight that, but get rest and get better.
Go from there.
Feel better, yeah. So anyway, today's episode is perception. So we are glad to be back. So just to do a definition of perception. Perception is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. The state of being or process of becoming aware of something through the senses. So that is the general definition of perception. Chris actually had posted a really interesting quote I really liked on 11/11, which was a very powerful day universally. But here is the quote, and I just think that Chris can kind of say a lot off of what this quote is. So I'll go ahead and read it. Your perception of what is of the material world is a reflection of how deeply you've explored the universe within. Perception is personal. Some will only choose to see what they are told to see. Then there are those who understand that the infinite is unseeable. So, I love that quote, and it's very profound and just well put. So if you want to talk about that, Chris, and perception and the senses and all that fun stuff.
Sure. Senses. A cool thing about senses is that you don't have to try to use them. Seeing, hearing, what are the other ones? Seeing, hearing,
Touch, smell,
feel. Those are the things that
well, all those things are going to affect your perception.
yeah,
All of those things are perception.
I think the key word in the definition is awareness, right?
Yeah. Well, really, when I think of perception, I think of people's ways that they, with their senses, the way they handle incoming stimuli, basically, or incoming energy. That's to me what perception is. That's my perception of perception, or my understanding of it. And so each individual on this planet has a different perception of reality.
Yeah, there are 8 billion people with 8 billion different perceptions of how the world is. And would you agree that there are collective perceptions?
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything is in the collective conscience, so yes.
So there are different types of collective perceptions. Kind of playing in the world right now.
I guess, yeah. I think so. I mean, I don't know. I think more what I was curious about you discussing from that quote you wrote was just how people's perceptions of their own realities that they create, because remember, we create our own realities.
Yeah, should we get into thoughts?
In a second, but the whole thing I like from that quote is wanting to discuss more about how people's perceptions from the reality that they create because of their either positive, outlooks or negative outlooks, whatever it may be, their life is shaped around that, so their perception of what the world really is different from the person next to them.
So you're saying that if you focus all of your attention on fear,
which we're surrounded with constantly, the news, TV, politics,
then
religion.
your life becomes fear?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And if you focus all of your attention on let's say, your purpose in life, your purpose eventually becomes your perception.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking.
I guess. I mean, no, I'm saying...
So if you focus all of your attention on fear, the way that you perceive the world is fearful.
You're fear-based. I mean...
So therefore, everything that your thoughts probably are going to be fearful.
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts are what's creating this fearful perception.
Mm-hmm.
It's all...
And where does that funnel down to and begin?
With self.
Maybe because you were taught to be that way.
Here we go again with indoctrination, right?
It always,
no, but
yeah,
it's true.
no, it's always, it's so true. It always funnels down to how you were taught. Cassie's telling me to look at the camera, but I think it's more cool when we do it like this.
Right.
Indoctrination into religion and politics, especially today. There's a fear-based perception, and you can see it spiraling out of control right now, and it's losing its luster. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And then what's occurring, let me pause real quick. Shout out to everybody out there. This is going back to the quote, that are changing themselves to help change the world. I thought about that yesterday. There are, potentially 144,000 people out there that are rocking and rolling to raise their consciousness level and their perception of how beautiful this world can be. I say this a lot, but there's a perception of this is a fucked up world and this is a beautiful world all at the same time. Those that are aware of their own
beauty. If you're aware of your own beauty and you have looked within and know yourself, truly your senses change. It's the most fascinating thing. It's like things smell better.
Just the world
sense the world. Nature's more beautiful because you found your beauty within yourself. We're one with nature, so it's
one with the all. And then when you get into the universal level, that is it's fascinating to think that it's all connected. So what I wanted to get into was that quote of can you read it again?
Yeah. The quote is, your perception of what is of the material world is a reflection of how deeply you've explored the universe within.
Okay, let's stop right there. So how deeply you've explored the universe, the deeper you go, the more the world changes. So there's
and we mean as simply as sitting quiet and looking within. That's what looking within is. It's stopping and focusing on you, and
you are the world, and whatever is inside of you will project into your daily world. Fixing that and
that quote, change the world, change yourself, is legit.
And you'll see that there are those that help create, I like to say, there's a perception of, read that Milton quote, please. Paradise Lost, I'm sure you've heard of it.
So from Paradise Lost, the mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven, and that is John Milton. Yeah,
what I like to say is this: when you're viewing the world from an indoctrinated mind, you're only perceiving it how you were told to perceive it. When you view it from your self-awareness and everything, it becomes a completely different world, and it doesn't make any sense to those who are viewing it from that indoctrinated world. But as you start to flip through, it becomes a different type of place. going within meditation.
Almost every talk we've had, we talk about not only this collective conscience, which we talked a little bit about, but going within.
Yeah.
Knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Thoughts become reality.
When we say know yourself, it sounds so cliche. It's like, what was that cliche reference that almost gets annoying after a while? But what that means is know yourself when you understand your true power, and you find that through meditation, and you find that
through reading your own, on your own,
and
not listening to anyone else,
answering your own questions, seeking, quiet time,
soul searching, all that,
listening. The world broadens. You get out of that indoctrinated stage, and you start to think for yourself and answer your own questions and study and look back in history and all of those things that are very important. Read the rest of the quote.
Back to your quote.
Yeah. So the first part, just go ahead and read the first part.
Well, really what I wanted to touch on is that John Milton quote, kind of wrap that up.
Oh, yeah, let's wrap that up real quick.
The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. And that is definitely just talking about you create your own reality.
Yeah, my perception of this world is this. Heaven and hell exist simultaneously. Okay? You have your hell that you're born into. And it's a confused world. It's a selfish world. You're taught to, do this, get a job, make a bunch of money, fuck everybody else, be selfish. The
American way.
Yeah, it's the American dream, baby. Or you're taught, or you're seeking, and you understand, and you start to see that selfless way. And you start to elevate your consciousness, and you start to see the world from a heavenly viewpoint.
But
so
in between that, though, while you're trying to figure this out, is purgatory.
Is the purgatory area.
The seeking stage. Because seeking, it's
seeking
tough.
is very,
but rewarding.
Yeah, very rewarding. And it's an isolation from the bullshit. I think that is...
And then once you get through and you learn who you are, why you're here, our whole purpose as beings on this planet, what Earth is for, you begin to create heaven on Earth, your own heaven. And as Chris said, it's all obtainable here. And really, if you look back at some texts, Bible, other texts like that, it's what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's there's a different way. It's a different
heaven and hell is not a reward. Is what I'm getting at. It's something that's attainable on planet Earth.
And it's all based on your perception and how you create your own reality.
Yeah.
And that actually goes very well with the rest of Chris's quote, so we'll kind of wrap up with this last part and talk about it. Perception is personal. Some will only choose to see what they are told to see, as Chris just talked about, growing up in that indoctrinated state. Then there are those who understand that the infinite is unseeable. The infinite
is unseeable. That's what I think kind of freaks you out a little bit. I like personally on my journey to freak myself out. I don't like, it's not that I'm bored. It's just that I take it to the extreme as far as my personal consciousness goes. I know that there are, this world and this universe and this omniverse is so vast and so infinite that it's unseeable. Is that what I said? Mm-hmm. Unseeable. But you can feel it.
And by going within, you start realizing how to feel.
Yeah.
To feel from your heart.
You stop.
Use that.
You stop using these two eyes, and you start using the third eye.
Yes.
And that right there, when I've done a video on how to activate the third eye. Those are things that we talk about during chakras and stuff like that. But these two eyes are rad. I'm very grateful for these two eyes because I get to see this beautiful gift that we were given. But this eye takes you into the infinite, and
it's your intuition, and you just
it's a direct line to the source, is what it is, and
to divinity.
It's a direct line to purpose. It's a direct line for guidance. There's a bunch of things that go along with
that's,
it.
That's the secret right there. That's the secret of life, is figuring
the
that
secret.
out.
Is connecting there and then going on a reciprocal thank you journey with the source and helping humanity with your purpose. And we talk about that all the time.
And the reciprocal thank you I love, so I'm just going to say it again. That's basically when you are told, or your intuition, because you are in tune, with yourself, with the universe, is telling you to do something, to complete a task or something like that, and you follow through with what you're supposed to do. Basically, it
gives you a courage to do the unthinkable.
And then by doing that, the universe is going to say thank you for fulfilling what was asked of you, which we've termed the reciprocal thank you. So that gift could either be something great, or it could be another tough situation, but then you learn something positive from it. So that's what the reciprocal thank you is. I just wanted to point that out because I love that so much, and it's a huge part of why we're here.
Yeah, it's a huge part of this whole thing.
But creating your own reality, again, is just such an important topic. So.
It's perception into that. I love how we started with the whole thing. You're either going to be a fear-based, indoctrinated into the world, a person.
So consumed with others.
Yeah.
So consumed with everything outside of yourself.
Yeah. Seeking happiness outside, trying to impress people. I have never met, I mean... pretty much the whole world's stubborn in that way. It's kind of like everybody's out to impress the next person, and for what fucking reason, I have no idea.
Well, it's exactly what you said. Everyone's so concerned about what the other person's thinking of them, but they're doing the same thing. They're only concerned about what you're thinking of them.
You're concerned about what they're thinking about, yet they're thinking about themselves, not you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's I to this day, it just boggles my mind how not only can you be that as a human being, but then teach someone else, and they're like, yeah, that's cool, okay, let's do the same thing.
But it leads to misery, and it leads to this constant hitting your head against a wall type thing. And so that's why looking within is so important, and something we're always talking about, because.
But it's necessary.
But you have to.
Yeah, you have to have that part. You have to have the dark to have the light. You got to make that darkness conscious, and your demons will never leave. You just learn how to live above them.
So with that, that's all part of the soul-seeking journey of looking within. But once you start making that connection, you realize that you really do create your own reality. And when you are creating a positive reality, and your perception of this world is a learning planet, that there's going to be some tough times, but it's all part of it. It's for the better good. It's for, that's a perception, a way to look at.
Fear-based perception equals a fear-based life.
Fear-based society, everything, where we're at right now.
Yeah. Purpose, projection, thoughts, purpose from that standpoint creates a purposeful life.
Mm-hmm. And we've talked about it before. When you fulfill your purpose, it's typically going to be something. Your true purpose is always going to help others.
It's going to help others in some way.
In some way, even if it doesn't seem like it. In some way, it's helping others, and so that is why we're saying, looking within and finding your purpose will, again, with the collective conscience. It all starts with one person.
It's not about changing the world, and it's about changing yourself, and about that diving into the void and finding out what's
scary.
Inside.
Like we said, people will do anything to avoid looking at themselves. We see the most absurd look right now in the government. Look around. Look at celebrities. I'm sorry. I mean, the people who are in the spotlight, which is
that's who we get to see.
And,
that's who we get to see.
And look at that. People that are terrified, by their actions that they're constantly blaming others. Negative, negative, negative. Fear, fear, fear.
Yeah, if you're seeking dirt on somebody, you're a dirty motherfucker. I'm sorry.
Because you are what you see, right?
Yeah, you're a reflection of what your insides are, and if you see
because you create your own reality.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's
yeah, and that those are the two things. It's a selfish, fear-based, indoctrinated perception of the world, hell, or it is a selfless, purposeful, seeking love section of the world, and that's heaven and hell right there.
And people are living it right now.
Yeah,
majority seems to be in hell, but
that's and what's we started with energies and this whole thing. There's a shift occurring on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you can't recognize it, then
people are feeling. If you're feeling tired, worn out, aches and pains like you have a cold, sleeping a lot, maybe eating a lot more, or opposite, even, eating a lot less, that type of thing, those are symptoms of an energy shift that's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, look it up. It's fascinating stuff. It should resonate. Hopefully, if it resonates with you. But
there's a shift occurring on planet Earth, and I'm saying from that selfish state to a selfless state. Mm-hmm. And the tipping point is almost here. There's going to be a couple of things that happen here quickly. That will be the official tipping point from my feeling, and then we're very close to that. But there's a shift occurring, and that old way of selfish behavior,
hurt others, which
fear,
more stuff's coming out every day
of
people just doing terrible things to other people or hurting others to benefit themselves.
Yeah, and that way is not. It's not cool anymore. It's just not cool in today's terminology. It's a very disgusting way of life, and unfortunately, these people that are involved in it were heavily indoctrinated into it. And when you involve money in that type of life, go tell a motherfucker right now that's got $300 million in his bank account to go within and look in themselves. That ain't happening. And it's crazy, but unfortunately they, but it's okay though. You don't have to do any of this. It's just your perception of life equals your thoughts. Your thoughts create your reality. It all ties in.
And it kind of goes back and forth. It's all intertwined in a way. It all works with each other. So basically knowing who you are, looking within, sitting still to find to go within.
Face yourself.
Yeah. Face yourself. Yeah. It's the best thing you can do.
But other than that, I did not want to do this talk today. As a matter of fact, I didn't want to do it for like the last 3 to 4 days, and it just perception needs to be talked about. I felt compelled. Sometimes you got to do something. You got to do those things that you don't feel like doing. And this is one of them.
And hopefully some of the things we said resonated with at least one of you out there. And that's the whole reason we're doing this.
And again, thank you. We've got like 400 people now watching these videos. We can't thank you enough. People are sharing them in Canada. That's too cool. And we're very grateful. And as we continue, we're going to hopefully...
And if you ever, if you're watching... if you ever want to send us questions or anything, please, and we'll talk about them. I mean,
Sun, Mind, and Body on the Facebook page. That's our business.
Or send us a personal message or do whatever. But
we're beginning to do meditation classes on the weekends, and we're going to start throwing in some yoga and uplifting. And we've got a top secret location that we will give out here soon. Other than that, perception is done. And do you have anything to say to the people? Let me see if I have something to say. Oh, Muji. You know Muji?
Yeah.
Muji said, I read one of the most beautiful things the other day that probably has ever been written. And he says this. Humanity, I don't know it specifically, but it's not a dialogue, it's a monologue. Because Mooji's very Mooji. He's all over YouTube. He's a brilliant, amazing man. Go check him out. It's not a dialogue, it's a monologue. It's not only a monologue, but it's a divine monologue.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah,
like we're having a divine monologue here. Think about that, because we're all one. We're all that. So just kind of, check out Mooji. Try to grasp that it's not a dialogue when you're having a conversation with somebody else. That's seeing the divine in them. It's another really cool way to start to see the divine.
God in others.
Yeah, see God in everybody, and see it in yourself as well. It'll start to freak you out, and hopefully help you start to seek more.
All right.
All right.
We're going to bed.
Yeah.
Night. Thank you.